Welcome. In this module, we're going to talk about actions that the information security team or the IT team can take to raise the management support. And this is being discussed in the context of an understanding that the management commitment is absent, and what should information security team do, or what should the IT team do to garner and increase the management support so that the management commitment is actually there. So what can you do? The question really is, what can you do if your organizational management is not supporting for the information security transformation program? If they're not interested, they are not giving the priority, and they're not giving the support. So there's about 5 different steps here. You should first of all understand the organizational business requirements and potential impact based on the type and nature of the business for that organization. Understand regulations and sector best practices. Should evaluate the security posture. Where do you lie? Assess the extent of work required and the resources required to get the transformation done. And then take in all of that information and present a report to management so that they understand and you can raise the awareness of management. First one, understand the organizational business requirements and potential impact. So if you're new to this role, if you're new to this organization, it's very important to understand the type of business. And even if you've been in the organization for some time, it's important to look through the lens of the board or the management. Look through their lens and step into their shoes and try to understand and take a step back and try to understand, is your organization a bank? Is it a financial institution? Is it a telecoms? Is it a service provider? Is it a retail organization? What is the nature of the business? Who are the customers? What can go wrong? So understand the type of business and industry. Understand what's critical for the business. What are the business requirements? How can confidentiality, integrity, and availability be affected? And what will be the impact to the business, to the profit, to the viability, to the goodwill of the organization? And what can go wrong, and what would be the impact, simply? Second one is understand regulations and sector best practices. So is there a regulator? So for the financial industry, it's the State Bank of Pakistan, for example. And then telecoms and IT, you have PTA, Pakistan Telecom Authority, or Ministry of IT and Telecoms, MOITT. Oil and gas, you have OGRA, for example. And then you look at the standards and best practices for that particular industry, because usually there are some regulations or some guidelines which the regulator has issued, or there may be some good standards or best practices. Evaluate the security posture next. And you need to understand, where do you lie? How are you doing in security? Is there a current security program in place? Is security built into the IT mechanisms and SOPs and processes? Is it built into the DNA and the culture? Evaluate the security posture against each of the 4 layers of the transformation model: security hardening, vulnerability management, security engineering, and then the governance. Have there been any recent incidents? What is the organization culture like? Is it organized and process-oriented, or is it haphazard and erratic? And are there any quality and improvement? Is there an emphasis on quality and improvement and training in the organization that you can tap into? Next, you need to assess the extent of work and resources required if you want to do the information security transformation program, because you obviously need to articulate and communicate to the management what type and what extent of resources would be required to get this done. So what is the size of the organization? What is the size of IT? If the organization has 1,000 people, are there about 100 people in IT, or are there 20? And then how many people do you have in information security team? Is there an information security team in the first place? Do you have internal software development? That is always a very difficult area. It's very difficult to fix the problems and the security loopholes in software. It takes more time than it does on infrastructure. And evaluate the team size required for InfoSec. The rule of thumb is, whatever you have, if you have 100 people in IT, you should have 15% or 15 people in information security. And then present your report to management. Take the key stakeholders on board, go to them, go meet them, and reach out to them before you make the presentation. And the better researched and prepared you are, the better you understand the business, what the impacts are, what the security posture is, what you need to get done, how long it will take, what resources are required, the better the impression you will make, and the more is the likelihood that you will succeed in your presentation. The conclusion is that many of the problems associated with weak security posture are actually due to poor awareness of the management. And you need to put yourself in the shoes of your audience and explain the need for a security program and what the nuts and bolts of the program are and how you're going to structure it, how long it will take, what you need, what help you need. And talk to them from their perspective and keep it very high level and very simple. It should not take longer than 20 or 30 minutes to make this presentation to management. Thank you very much. That's all that we have for this module.